Welcome to Wisdom Within with Tina and Tanya. We are so excited to bring this topic to you today. It is shifting with the seasons. So, we are recording this about the time of autumn equinox. So, we are just stepping into all the fall vibes and really starting to take a look at the way we are programmed and culture has taught us to be throughout the year versus what the seasons and what our natures tell us to be. So, make sure you stay tuned. And also want to remind you that we have a Wisdom Within toolkit. So, you can get a link to that in the description below the video. So check that out as well. We've got lots of amazing resources in there to help you deepen your spiritual practice as you go on this journey with us. So if you are done conforming to others' expectations, you're done suppressing your wants and needs, and you're done feeling like life has no meaning, and you're ready to build a supportive relationship with yourself and really address those resentments and the disappointments that come from suppressing your needs and wants, you're ready to transform your life from the inside out, then you're in the right place because we're going to teach you how to do this using practices that will really support you, mind, body, and spirit. So, before we jump into this amazing topic of shifting with the seasons, Tina, will you help us set the space?
Sure. I'm doing some sage today. I felt like we needed a little extra. I know I need extra today, so now I'll probably be sneezing because I really had that one going.
Got all the
Okay.
all the
Yeah.
cleansing and clearing
All the
going for
cleansing
us.
going. Yeah. Okay, go ahead and close your eyes and take a deep breath in. And feel your body in your chair. Feel your feet on the floor, your legs, your hips, your back, your upper back, shoulders, neck, arms, hands, up into your head. Just feel your body. Feel the weight of your body in your chair. And imagine that you have roots growing from the base of your spine, and allow those roots to grow down through the floor and down into Mother Earth. And allow those roots to anchor deep into Mother Earth. If you have any anxieties or frustrations or fear, anything that needs to be released right now, just let that go to Mother Earth and ask her to compost that. Call back any energies that you may have sent out recently that need to come back to you. Take another deep breath in and go ahead and open your eyes.
Ah, thank you. Thank you very much for that.
Yeah.
Okay, so this topic of shifting with the seasons, and I mean, the beauty, I think, even of shifting with the seasons is not what we were all programmed and taught to do since birth, right?
Right.
So I love looking at our life in general through a different perspective. And because I think when we look at our collective, there's a lot of mental health issues. There are people who are incredibly unhappy. There's a lot of stuff. And I think a lot of it can be because our internal and the external is conflicting. And we see that a lot as the seasons change. So let's just start talking about the seasons and what they're meant for and what they look like or
Mhm.
could look like, should look like.
Well, I mean, we have, so starting with autumn, we're coming into autumn now. We're harvesting all of what any, if you have a garden. You're harvesting the fruits, from the garden, or the vegetables, or whatever you planted in your garden. You're harvesting that. You're harvesting your fruits. And it's that time of, the wheat, all the things. We're harvesting those things and bringing those in. So that's the time when we have accumulated all this, and then now we're looking at moving into the winter time. So the trees are changing. The trees are starting to change colors, where they're going to start losing their leaves and whatever. So they're getting ready to go into hibernation mode. So in the winter time, we move into hibernation, where the bears go into hibernation. The trees are hibernating. Everything slows down. The animals, you don't see them out as much. Um, everything just kind of is that slower, quiet time. And then you go into spring, which is like, woo, vibrant. We're up, we're coming out, we're planting, we've planted all these seeds, and now we're gonna start, uh, putting more seeds in the ground and planting and getting ready for everything. Things are coming to life. The trees are starting to bud out, and you're starting to see all of the green. And then you got summer, where the seeds are starting to grow, and everything's, we start seeing the whatever we planted in the spring start getting bigger, and you see the flowers, and we see all of the, so that's kind of like a buzzing time for, and then we move back into fall, which is back to starting to slow down again. So
Mhm.
that kind of, I
That
don't
yeah,
know.
like, that is the cycle, and I think it's so important because as humans, we're part of that cycle of nature. We are very cyclical. And some of that is like that feminine energy of cyclical, but it's also this is our this is how we're built and how we're designed. And yet, that is not how our culture is. And that is just driven by consumerism, right? It's driven by corporations, by money, by transactions. And when we can just take a step back from that, because that would have us in go, go, go mode 24/7 year round. I've been a part of that culture. I know you've been a part of that culture,
Mhm.
working in that environment as well, and not allowing ourselves to take those really necessary breaks. So just kind of keeping that in mind, and that's how we have all evolved to where we are. I definitely feel a pull to step out of that hustle and bustle and into honoring the nature seasons within my own body.
Mhm.
So let's break it down a little bit and just focus for a minute on autumn. And then we could maybe even do that with each of the seasons. I think that would be kind of cool. So what do you feel with autumn? Because I know maybe we feel a little bit different. So I'd be curious what it feels like for you.
For me, with autumn, especially this year, I am noticing a letting go. It's like it's a time to let go of those things that aren't conducive to what brings me joy, or what brings um me happiness, or what I feel like I need to be doing. So it's a letting go of those things. It's also a time of slowing down for me. It's like I'm feeling like I really need to start slowing down, and I'm already pretty slow as it is. So I'm like, whoa, what is this about?
What am I going to do with that?
What am I going to do with that? Yeah. So it feels like a time of slowing down, like a time of starting to go do a little bit more introspection, a time of looking at the past, the summer season, and what the summer was like for me, and how, and all of the things that, what did I do over the summer? And like for my business, so, you know, how did, how did that, how did they go? How did I did workshops and things. So in the summertime, I did several workshops. I did a couple of retreats, and how did those go? And how, you know, looking at those things, and then moving into that introspection of, Now what? Now what do I want to bring in? What do I want this next 2 seasons to look like, fall and winter and so yeah, so it's kind of a time of starting that introspection and a time of letting go of what's not serving me right now. So,
Hmm. I feel I feel very much that as well, as far as like I mean, we were talking before we hit record about I want to clear out my entire closet. I want to
yep.
redecorate my whole house. Like I want like everything is shifting and I'm getting rid of like that doesn't represent me anymore. I want to get rid of that. Um but I feel a buzzing for me. Like I feel energetic. And when I think about that, I mean, so Halloween is my favorite holiday ever, and I've already started like in probably the end of August celebrating that this is the season. This is my season. So, and it's interesting because without even knowing it, I've done that for the major all of my adult life. Um, I've always said, "Hey, it's only 2 months away, before my birthday." So, like, we start, talking about my birthday in August and everything, and I feel so like this is a time of year where I feel excited. And when I put that into the idea of the season, it is that harvesting, right? It is abundance. It is joy because we're seeing, "Oh my gosh, look at the fruits of my labor."
Mhm,
Like in rewinding a few years when we grew all of our food and lived like on the land, it was,
mhm,
and this is the time when the squashes are coming in, the pumpkins are coming in. I love that. I love soups and I love
mhm,
that cozy feeling. And so I feel more energized and more excited. Like I feel like pop rocks a little bit within my body of just, I'm excited.
yeah.
Um, but at the same time, I'm shedding things, and I feel like that's part of the excitement is I'm taking some of that load off my shoulders. I don't need to try to do this anymore. I'm like, ugh, get rid of that. Get rid of that. Not serving me. Be gone.
Mhm,
Um, so I have both, and what a perfect balance, right? Because here we are, autumn equinox is a balance of light and dark, and I'm like buzzing and excited. And I'm also like what you're saying, I'm feeling myself slowing down, going more inward, wanting to be more wrapped up and cozy. So I have that balance. I very much feel that balance right now.
yeah, and as you're talking, I'm feeling that, and you and we've been talking for a couple of weeks now about how, about changing some things in our with our lives, both our lifestyles basically. And I think that's what this has been about, is a whole big shift in that, releasing that, letting go of those things. But then I have been more energized, especially this past couple of weeks. I've been more energized. I've been more, like this morning. What did I tell you this morning? It's like I jumped out of bed, went for my walk. I'm feeling good. And fall is that definitely that time for me too. I remember when I used to run all the time. That was my favorite time to run because it's just perfect, and you're seeing the vibrancy of the colors because the trees are starting to change color. And so yeah, there's that almost celebration feel of, like what you were saying about the harvesting and whatever. And so yeah, I I definitely love fall for that.
So we're in a little bit of a different situation than a lot of people because we both work for ourselves and we do have the flexibility of shifting our schedule within reason. Maybe a
Mhm.
little too much
Yeah.
sometimes where it's like I didn't do anything today.
Yeah.
But for those who, are going to work and don't always have that freedom of flexibility, what are some ideas that you would have for them on how to honor this different pace of the shift of this season, knowing that they still have to go 9 to 5 or whatever that looks like? What are some thoughts
Mhm.
that you would have for them?
Oh, so that's it's always hard when we're in that culture of we have to go with, go, 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 go. But I would suggest things like even little rituals, you know, creating an altar, like a fall altar, and doing little rituals that way, learning or creating a morning routine that is more conducive to the being more intentional. I feel like that this time of the year is a good time to start um, looking at those intentions and really feeling more intentional in what you're doing. Um, yeah, and just being trying. I know it's hard when you're in that culture. It's hard to want to slow down because we're just always trying to push, push, push. And that's what society tells us that we need to do. But if you can find those little ways, journaling, daily rituals, drinking your coffee, early morning, if you get up early in the morning, and I know you're an early riser. I'm not. I used to be, but I'm not as much as I used to be. But I still like to just sit with my coffee and journal and just sip that coffee and just taste it, and just, instead of guzzling it down, just sit down with your coffee and just kind of just cozy up. And, if you can take those few, if you can't do it every day, just maybe on a weekend or something, take
Mhm.
those time, that little bit of time like that.
Mhm.
What about you? What are some ideas you have for that?
I echo everything that you're saying, definitely. But I think too, like looking at where can you create that balance? This is where your creativity really steps in because maybe in some ways you are have limitations, but then the sky's the limit in others. So what would feel good for you? What would give you like going up and being, driving through the trees and seeing the change on a weekend can be very honoring to be able to have a little bit of the go, but not the hustle where it's like, I'm going to go check this out, but it's not a requirement. There's no time and pace. So I really think um, intentionality is going to be huge with that. And I also think looking at how you can bring in the vibe of the season, like connecting with your ancestors, like what you were mentioning with an altar, like connect with your ancestors. That is a huge theme of this season. And when you think about it, it was everybody gathered together to pitch in and help each other with the harvest, right? So you were
Hmm.
connecting with family and community. So how can you do that in a way that's not overdoing it to where you're burning yourself out and being exhausted, but connecting with others? But I really love the ancestor thing, especially, Halloween. That's what Halloween is about, that whole time of those who have passed on. Um, so can you take some time to investigate what that would look like for you and what it could have been and integrate some of that? For me, it's that integration piece, where we know we've heard history, we can visualize and imagine, but what does it look like when we bring it in and when we really look at what would it have been like to live back then, and really just how can I honor that?
Right.
Um, and ritual. I mean, ritual, of course, is my
Of course.
I,
Yeah.
darn
Of
it,
course.
I know I love it. So it's like, and I'm excited because I love little things, little teeny tiny things that make the biggest difference. So I love that it's dark in the morning now when I get up because then I can light my little candle to go out. Like it's so silly, but it's fun to me and it just brings such a richness to my life, the magic to the mundane. Absolutely, I can flip on a light switch, but I can also light that little candle and carry it through my house to feed my dogs. And to me, that just makes life a little bit more rich and it helps me kind of connect with the way things used to be, but yet still get to live in the way things are now. And I don't know, that to me has been fun. It brings in the playfulness, it breaks up the typical day to day. So I think that's part of it is looking at what isn't serving me, which is part of, the balance, right? Like what we
Mhm.
were talking about, what do I need to let go of? And what I have found for me, a lot of that is modern nonsense. So connecting with some of the slower paced of the past is really what's resonating for me right now.
That's awesome. And if you look at it, I mean, if you think about it, that's how our ancestors lived, right? Is by the seasons. If it was dark outside, they weren't, they were sitting inside waiting for it to get daylight, basically, I actually probably not. They were out working in the you
Right.
never know. But yeah, they lived with it. They came in, went to bed at dark or whatever, so but that's fun. That sounds like
Hmm.
fun doing your little candle and
You can
things. And
picture me carrying my candle through
yep, I can. I can.
the house.
That's cool.
I also think with fall, it's the energy of abundance and gratitude. Um,
Hmm.
so I think that's an important reflection piece now is actually we're so used to looking at what we lack. I know I'm there. I get caught up in the lack mentality and what I don't have. And this is that time of year where it was a celebration. And I think that's part of the buzzing that I feel is that celebration of the harvest coming, and
Hmm.
community and conversation. And so really where can you bring in the energy of look at all that I have?
Right.
And I am so grateful for all that I have. And really, I mean, this is the time of year to up your gratitude. I mean, look at Thanksgiving, how
Yep.
perfect, I mean, we have all of these things in this time. Those aren't coincidental,
Right.
to really recognize and really take this as a time to double down on your gratitude. And for me, that is a great way to bring in the energy of fall.
Yeah. And celebrate the abundance. And that's right. I mean, you and I have talked about that. It's like we're both doubling down on our gratitude practice right now because it is something that we felt like we needed to bring in, not even really thinking about for me, I wasn't even really thinking about it being the season for that. But it is something that I feel like needs to come in to my life a little bit stronger because I've kind of let that gratitude piece go.
And I love
So
what you
yeah.
just said because I thought of when it's truly honoring the cycles and truly honoring the energies as it comes in. We try so hard to make things like, let's just say, a gratitude practice, gratitude journaling.
Hmm.
What if you allowed it to be in the season, right? I mean,
Hmm.
I think you should have a grateful heart all the time because
Yeah.
that brings a lot of joy. But
Hmm.
what if you are doubling down right now in the energy of abundance and gratitude because that's here, this is where we are in fall, and really tapping in, really diving into that. And then as you move into winter, that shifts a little bit. And we'll talk about that in just a second.
Hmm.
But look at what a beautiful way to step into the season of winter after having doubled down and utilize the energy that's around us anyway in this cycle of time to focus on gratitude and what we have. Like, I just think that is a perfect setup to move us into the season of winter.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, you look at the ceremonies and the rituals that were done with our ancestors. So, I mean, you look at the Native American ancestors, or you look at the Celtic peoples, and you look at the different cultures that always celebrated. They had some kind of celebration around um, the harvest this time of the year, right? So yeah, it's a time of celebration. It's a time of looking at the abundance in our lives, and it's a time of that gratitude. And so yeah, definitely a perfect time to double down and then move into that slower winter season.
Mhm. Well, let's move into that. Let's talk about winter because winter is a very different vibe than autumn.
Hmm.
Um, Yeah, do you want to start with winter? Because I have a lot of thoughts. I'm like, I can just roll in. But maybe I should let my spicy simmer down just a little bit with winter. I have s I'm a spicy winter person.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
let's tell
So
me what
winter
you feel in winter.
So for me, winter is a time of slowing down and a time of introspection. So it's a time of, when like what I said earlier, when the bears are hibernating, when the trees have lost all their leaves and they're in a hibernation mode, um when we start to go deeper within ourselves, and so we can take this time of hibernation to um, look at those shadow aspects that are going on with us, which I know you love. I not so much. I always end up in I get seasonal depression, so I always struggle with it, and have done for um, as long as I can remember. I've struggled with winter, and I have found that I don't struggle as much when I'm allowing myself to be in that flow of winter. I still about March, end of February, about March is when it starts hitting me nowadays. Used to be it started hitting me like in December. But when I am allowing myself to be in that flow of winter, and realizing that that's what this is a time for, is that introspection. And it is, and maybe that depression is a part of that introspection. It just takes me into a deeper, darker place. Sometimes I don't like to go.
Yeah, I hear you. Um, and I think I'm always curious. I wouldn't necessarily say that I feel the seasonal depression, so I know that we have a very different feeling with that. Um, but I know I get, like, if I were to come up, it's like angry December. So more than depression, I have anger, and I think it's more just an
Mhm.
irritation and stuff. But when for me, it's when I look at culture during this time versus the feeling and the energy of this time, they're completely conflicting. And I think within my body, that's the problem, is there's the conflicting, which creates the anger, for lack of a
Mhm.
better word, irritation, whatever. But it's like, this is the time of year that our culture has built up to be the hustle and bustle. And we even hear it in the Christmas songs, right? The hustle
Yep.
and bustle phrase in whatever song that is. And yet our bodies are begging for not just slowing down, but almost like shutting down,
Mhm.
this time of silence, this time of inward, this time of connecting with just that close. And yet what our culture has created is work parties, work events, friend events, family events, consumerism times 10,000, it's go, 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 go. And if you're working in that space, you're working extra hours, it's overtime, it's extra days. There is no such thing as weekends off because it's consumerism aplenty. And it's interesting to me too, because when I express my distaste of the season, I have a lot of people who automatically assume that it's like an anti-Christianity thing. And I'm like, no, I don't care. It's
Mhm.
I'm anti-consumerism that has been brought into all of it, and the stress it puts on. I'm a single mom and raising my kids and trying to do a Christmas that I don't subscribe to, like, the consumerism of it and the keep up with the Joneses, but yet how do I disappoint my kid? I
Yep.
hate all of that. I
Yep.
just and all the time, the energy of the season is do less, not more, slow down, reach out to those who need it, but it
Mhm.
wasn't ever meant to like, let's go party with everybody. It was meant to who in your community needs help during this time, let's go help them. But that's not what we do, you know?
Right.
It's just I have that internal battle around it. So I struggle the whole month of December for
Yeah.
this.
I
I'm
I
angry.
yeah, I'm right there with you. I st being a single mom too, when I was, with my kids growing up, it was the worst time of my and I was in that culture of I've got to go, go, go. I've got to buy, 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 and and I even did it with my grandkids, and I've tapped out. I this last few years, I have completely tapped out of the Christmas thing, and
Mm,
it's been kind of it's been different. And my kids and grandkids are kind of like, well, but I'm like, I can't subscribe to it any longer, and so I finally have had to just kind of just let it be because it was too much for me, and it's been too much all my life. And so, and I'm the same way. And especially like, and, and then being a business owner. So you're looking at, we have Black Friday. So we have November, and I don't know if we need to, but I'm going to go here anyway. But
just go there.
yeah, we have November, we have Black Friday. Being a business owner, um, we're pushed pushed. Let's get these Black Friday sales. This is going to be the best time for you to make your money. So let's do this. Let's start, putting out those posts in October, about your Black Friday, or, start advertising. And then through the month of December, it's just like a constant push, push, push. And I get emails um, of people selling to me. That's the biggest time when I see those emails of people selling. And it's the hardest time for me to look at email because I'm just like, I cannot. And I sit here, I'm home alone. I don't see people very often. And I'm still feeling all of that anxiety and push, push, push from people because they're trying to get those last, those sales in at the end of the year or whatever that they want to, so that they can close out their year strong. And so it is. I am with you on the angry December because I feel it so hard, and especially being a business owner because you're if you don't jump in on the Black Friday sales, you might not make the money that you need to for the end of the year,
Yep.
and then January is a whole other story.
I know we do have this winter season that technically begins around December 20, 21st, 22nd, 23rd,
20,
like in
yeah,
that
20,
area,
yeah.
like
Yep.
in the 20s of December,
Yep.
and it goes until March.
Yep.
So we have quite a bit of time there that is the winter season. And I think too, like, okay, clearly I have some work to do around that
Yeah,
season.
me too.
But if you think about it too, like what you mentioned earlier with the shadow, like really giving you some time to address the shadow and looking at those deeper lessons for yourself, deep reflection. This is a time when if we step out of the consumerism, just put that on the shelf for a little bit and really look at the energy of the season. This is a beautiful time to use the energy that is available to you to do that deep introspection. It's almost like you get to sit on the slide and coast for some of it because it's already there. So just tap into that energy, go within, do the journaling, um, take advantage of the darkness that's outside and shine that, let that mirror and do that work of what's inside because I mean shadow work is some of the most beautiful work we can ever do, and I think that um the resistance that we have to that, if we can kind of work through the resistance and do it anyway and just kind of see what comes up for us, it can be an incredible time of healing.
Right.
What a beautiful way to spend those winter months healing, getting to truly connect and getting to, and that's what I love about shadow work is it's not about banishing and it's not about overcoming and destroying your shadow. It's getting to know and love that side of you. Like how beautiful is that to be able to spend those more quiet dark times
Mhm.
like saying this is who I am to the core. This is who I am that I don't necessarily want everyone to see, but I freaking love that girl. I
Mhm.
love her. If you can do some of that work and come out in the spring in that place of, "Oh my god, I just love her." Talk about an
Yep.
awesome winter, you know,
Yep.
other than the cold and snow,
And
but that's different.
right. Living here in the mountain, that's that cold and snow kinda gets us.
Uh-huh.
Um, yeah, and I totally agree with that, what you're saying about the introspection and things, and, like I said, that's not my favorite thing to do, but I do it, and I know that's where the magic is when we're working in those deeper layers because, um, we tend to be surface level I think as a society, we're taught to be surface level. And then, we have all our different human designs and all the different things that, many of us um, want to stay at the surface. But this time is like, and it's going back to, we're doubling down on our gratitude in autumn. And then we start that introspection in the winter, so then we can start working on, talk the journaling or whatever it is that helps us to start to go more inside. I mean, it could be artwork, it could be working with your hands, it could be, yeah, and that's the time when a lot of people tend to do crafty things, right? Because that's when we're in the house, we're doing and I love to do crafty things at that time. I can't meditate in the wintertime, so I'm drawing mandalas almost constantly. I always have one sitting on my table because I'm working on that, in the mornings instead of meditating because I know it brings me into a darker space and I can't because of my mental health that it's best for me not to go there
Mhm.
too deep on some things or with the I should say with the meditations because with the journaling and things it does help. And if I can and even like with mandalas, the way that I do them is like contemplating. It's a contemplation, so it's like I can even there's many times I'll write down a question on the back of the mandala or write down on the paper, what this question is that I'm contemplating, and then start just drawing. And those answers come to you in that way. And so there's different ways of doing the shadow work too.
Mhm.
And it's not always going clear down into the total depths.
Right, right. Well, and I think as far as suggestions that I would offer those who are watching, it would be step out of the obligation and doing what you need to do, like what's necessary versus what you feel you have to do. Like really looking at where can I say no during this season? Um, you have to put food on the table. You're going to have to go to work. There are things that you're going to have to do. You and I are going to have to do, even within our business. We have to figure some things out. And so it's looking at like what really kind of like what are the bare necessities of this season? What is it that I have to do? And then giving yourself permission to say no to the things that aren't included in that.
Hmm.
You know, from like obviously like Thanksgiving, but then we have Christmas parties with work and everything in the different organizations. Um, then we have New Year's parties, and then we've got football parties and Super Bowl and like all those different things. Do what you want to do, but say no to the things that feel stressful or feel heavy, or just see if there's a little way you can disconnect, even if it's just one thing this year and then one more next year, to really be able to say no to those extracurricular things that require energy, that require you to get out and go and really stop that process of rest. I mean, this is rest time.
Mhm. Yeah.
So that's a tip or practice I would recommend,
And
um,
yeah.
in
I
addition to the shadow work.
yeah, I agree. And I think doubling down on your self-care
Mm.
because this is a time when you are spreading yourself out and you're doing those all those extracurricular activities and you're, you know, trying to buy gifts or whatever you're doing. But that this is a time when I think I know for me, it used to be a time when I really had a hard time taking care of myself because I'm like trying to do all the things and all the things. So if you can, even double down on your self care during the winter, that's one thing that's going to help you to move through the winter with in a more easeful way, I think.
Mhm.
And just allowing yourself to be in that. If you know, even though we do have to work and we're being business owners, we work 24/7 anyway.
I know. Ah, yeah.
um but I feel like taking that time to um be in that flow and allowing yourself to be in that flow of winter and allowing it to be a slower time, allowing yourself to accept that it is a slower time, listening to your body when you need to slow down. All these little things I think will help a lot in helping you to move through all of the hustle and bustle of that
Mhm.
season. So,
I do too, and I think this is the biggest shift or
yeah.
the biggest, conflict of energy versus patterns
Hmm.
and behaviors. And so even just like stepping into it by asking and maybe journaling about just asking the question, um, what do I need to do to honor the energy of winter or honor
Hmm.
the season of winter, whatever it is that would be, and just allowing that to come through, because some people absolutely love it and that's not incorrect. So if you're like, I don't know what your problem is, you guys, I love this season, like awesome, but still recognize that it is the the vibe of it is rest and renewal. So even if you're like, I want to hit every party and every Christmas concert and everything, awesome. Find where you can find the rest, like intentionally bring that in.
Hmm.
And so keeping that in mind, what can I do to honor the energy of that season and and give yourself permission to shift that a little as well.
Right. Right. Agreed.
So that moves us into spring,
Yeah,
which
I
is a
love
little
spring. Yeah.
that is your vibe. That's your season.
Yeah,
So tell
spring's
us a
my
little
season.
about spring.
Spring is like when all of the little babies are coming out and all the flowers are starting to bloom and it's just like this happy. It's like I just see these little happy flowers, little smiles coming up and to
Yep.
me spring is like the it's like coming out of the cave and like ah, you know.
Stretching, the
Yep.
stretch.
Yep.
Yep.
It's and so this is a time of starting to plant those seeds and starting to um so now we're back in, we're not really in the hustle, but we're starting to move, we're starting to get out and just do the things that need to get done and planting our gardens, planting whatever, needs to be planted at the time and cultivating and all. I mean, it's just like it's a buzzing. It's like this whole um vibe of just a buzz, buzz, buzz. Let's get this done. Let's get this done. And so, and I think I feel like our bodies when we come out of winter and Mine, I know my body's just like, thank you. It's let's move, let's go do.
Yep.
And so, but then there's that part where we kind of overdo too. So we need to make sure that we stay within our our bounds, you know. But yeah, so this is a time of starting to cultivate those things that we want to bring
Hmm.
in our lives and into our um you know, like I said before, we're going to plant a garden, or if we're going to do this or whatever. And if we want to bring in new business ideas, if we want to bring in a new job, or you know, whatever, it's just bringing that new in. And that's what the spring vibe is to me. It's the new, it's the awakening, it's the east on the medicine wheel, it's that sunrise, it's the, you know, it's all new, it's the baby, it's
Yeah. It's that feeling of hope. Like it's the
Mhm.
maybe even just a little past hope where we're no longer hoping, but we've actually received, like
Received,
it's
yeah.
achieved, that
Mhm.
hope is now becoming into fruition. So for me, the energy of spring is, I'm going to say this knowing this feels very foreign, but it's like when you've had that truly rested full night's sleep and you wake up on your own and you just feel that good, relaxed, like ready, like, oh, I got all the rest I needed. I feel amazing. And if you've ever had that, which I'm kind of like, have I? No, I have, we have. But that is the vibe for me. But in that moment, it's savoring that feeling. It's not hit the door running. It's not like we're like, "Oh, I'm awake and let's go." It's waking up and stretching and feeling that good feeling of feeling so rested and so refreshed and so, like, ready for the day, but in a way where we wanna savor that moment. We wanna get up slowly. We wanna move slowly. We wanna just like, that's to me the feeling of spring, where it's bringing in all of that energy, slowly waking up, having it be very intentional, but really just truly appreciating that feeling of new, that feeling of it's a new day and I can create anything and I can, anything is possible in this new, beautiful morning because I just slept and it was amazing. Um, I don't always feel that. In fact, very rarely do I, but that is the vibe of spring for me that I want to bring in this next spring when it comes.
Mhm.
Because I think just because we're talking about these things doesn't mean that this is exactly how we're still human. We still live in the culture of life, but that's the vibe I'm bringing in for spring.
Mhm. Yeah, and that's always my, it's like spring is like when I go for walks in the spring, it's like I am just, I don't know, I can't even explain it. It's like this joy inside me that is just like, oh, thank you, thank you, thank you, you know, and it just, yeah, I love spring, so
Like
it's my
to
favorite.
me, it's the feeling of yellow and the feeling of pink, like the
Mhm.
light
Yep,
pastel. I mean, it's
yep,
perfect for that time. I mean, here we are with Easter eggs that are pastel colored.
yep.
And
Hmm.
I'm typically like the dark and the depths and the deep colors. And so I don't wear a lot of spring colors, but I do genuinely feel like that's how I would describe some of it too,
Yep,
is
yep.
the pastels, that light. There's a lightness in it. There's a beauty in it. It's like, okay, we've gone through the dark and now we're moving into this beautiful, not intense colors, but light and bright. And there's a peacefulness to it
Hmm.
with that excitement as well. Like, yeah, kind of having
Yeah,
a hard time coming up with words of how to describe that. But I think the colors and all of those things will do it justice.
yeah, yeah,
Um,
definitely. And I
what,
think that, sorry, go ahead.
go for it. Go ahead and finish that thought.
I was just gonna say, I think that it's this time of for me, and I think, yeah, it's just this time of planting, like, you know, cultivating your garden, and which I'm talking metaphorically. So cultivating whatever it is that you want to start bringing in. So when we're journaling, we're talking about what are those things that I want to see this year, or I shouldn't say, yeah, this year, the rest of the year. What are those things that I want to bring in? What are those things that I um, want to do this year? What do I want in my life? How do I want my life to look like? It's all of those things. And so we're planting those little seeds so that we can start bringing all those things in.
Hmm. Well, and I was just going to ask you what some of your practices are. So that sounds
Mhm.
like, really what I'm hearing is manifesting, like the
Mhm.
vision board,
Right.
the starting to decide where we're going to go on vacation as a family, if you
Mhm.
travel as a family, or like it's that time of not necessarily planning like autumn planning, but dreaming, I
Dreaming.
think is
Yep.
the word I would use for that.
Yeah.
Like, what do I want to do? And
Right.
just creative dreaming. Like, let's just put it all on the paper and see where we're going to fit things in and what's going to stay and what's going to be put on for next year. So,
Right. And so like March, for the past couple of years, I have not been able to write my goals down until March. It's just how it is. It's March is spring. That's the time when we start doing that, right? So in March, what is it? March 20th or whatever is when we
yeah,
have
they're in the 2021s ish.
yeah, yeah. So we have the spring equinox. Uh, and so that is the time when, we're starting to do that dreaming and stuff. So it's not, to me, it's not in January, when we have our new year, new you goals, let's set all these major goals and blah 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 for the coming year. I can't, in the past, it's probably been about 3 years that I've just finally have been like, it doesn't feel right to me. I'm moving it. And March is when I'm finally ready to start building that vision board and start writing down my goals and start dreaming about what I want to bring in and start all of those, cultivating things that we do to start bringing in what we want for that year.
Hmm.
So I've got this fly that keeps buzzing around me.
You got a fly who's like, I play. I I actually really love that. And I love I keep feeling like the invitation for all of us as a collective is to sync with the cycles of nature.
Mhm.
Like to allow ourselves to be in the vibe and not stress about New Year's resolutions cuz they all fail.
Yep.
Not all,
Yep.
maybe, but 99.99%
99%.
of them.
Yeah, exactly.
So, like, instead of getting caught up in the cultural timeline, really allowing yourself to be in sync with the natural cycle of life and the energies that are available to us, which, like what you're describing, if you're going to try to force it in January, it's an uphill battle. But if you can allow
Mhm.
it to naturally come in March, which is when it feels right for you, you know, allowing that to come through on that natural timeline, it feels very doable. It feels very correct. It feels almost effortless. And we're not like pushing the boulder uphill. And I
Right.
feel like that is kind of the vibe of this whole conversation is permission to release cultural timeline and sync with the nature timeline and our
Mhm.
natural body rhythm. Um, do you have anything more on spring before we move into summer?
No, I think that's it. But yeah, I totally agree with you moving in, following the seasonal timelines. So
So summer comes in and we have warmth and we have
those dog days of summer are my
yep,
favorite.
yep. We have I mean, I'm just like I just see motorcycle season. So
Mhm. Yeah.
um so let's talk about summer and the vibe of summer. So One thing I do want to point out is even though there's like when you think of traditionally with planting and with like planting in the spring,
Right.
summer is when we're tending to the crops.
Mhm.
But it's not all work, 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 right? But we have an energy of activity. Like we can do a lot. We have more daylight. We can get more things done. But it's also that time of where can we connect as a family? And what I love about the vibe of summer is nature. I mean, people are drawn to nature in the summer. So whether it be your garden, which is what kind of used to be happening, or going camping, or when you see people travel, where do they travel a lot? They travel to the national parks, they travel to, wherever it is that they can get out in nature. And I'm like, how cool is that? The summer is like, please come and play with Mother Earth.
Nature. Right. Exactly. And to me, summer is just like joy. It's like this energy of joy. It's like where can you bring joy into your life? And I feel like a big part of that is in connecting with the earth. You know, you're connecting with Mother Earth and you're connecting with your family, you're connecting with all of it, you know, and so I feel like, um, yeah, summer just to me is so joyful and so and just like you said, we're tending to those crops that we planted in the spring, but we're also finding that joy and that and all of the connections with the earth, with I mean, just everything, I think,
Mhm,
and being next to the river and I mean, I can
uh-huh,
think about all the things. I love it.
mhm. I feel like for me, the summer is time when I do less shadow work. I mean, I'm
Mm.
always gonna be doing shadow because
Well,
welcome
yeah.
to my world, but it's I'm not journaling as much in the summer. Um, I mean, I'm definitely not doing my little candlelight stuff. I mean, I do when I have a specific thing I wanna do, like a cord cutting or something with
Mhm,
candles, I do, but I don't feed the dogs by candlelight or read by candlelight because it's bright outside. I would
mhm,
have to wait until really late at night, and by then I'm tired. So, I don't do as much of that, but because it's more to me, it's less inward, more not outward out here, but more like my energy is going this way instead of going
mhm,
this way. So I notice in the summer, it feels more lighthearted to me. So if I'm doing some, I might like, ooh, why did that person trigger me? There's some shadow work I can do around that, but it's not the same as that winter introspection shadow work vibe. It's very like situational,
mhm,
like, ooh, that's something I need to work on. We're going to, save that for a Sunday or whatever. Um, but it's very like sunshine, it's very bright, it's very open to possibilities. If you were going to be doing shadow work in the summer, I would say looking at your golden shadow. What are my hidden potentials? What is it that I get to bring forth to the world? Versus like healing.
mhm.
I mean, there's still healing in it, but very, very different vibe
Right.
this
I
summer.
agree. Yeah, I agree. And I it's a time when I tend to not journal as much. And if I am journaling, it is more it and it is gratitude, but it's more a light-hearted and this is what happened and you know, it's not as much as oh man, this is
Yeah.
what do I need to do here? Yeah.
Yeah.
Or what if or
Yeah.
why? You
Yeah.
know, I'm not doing that. I'm doing more of the
Hmm.
fun, lighthearted, more type journaling than I am.
Yeah, my journals in the summer are like, "You can't make this shit up," and then
Yep.
I go on to explain this crazy synchronicity or
Yeah,
awesome experience that I want recorded because it was so, "How did this even happen?" Like, I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
I got to take a trip with some friends and we did, I mean, we went to an old like ghost town cemetery and the experiences that we had there, and then a really awesome, it's not a haunted hotel, but it was a really old energy. Like, it was a phenomenal experience, and I
Mhm.
couldn't wait. I mean, I journaled pages on that
Yeah.
because there were things that happened that I just wanted to always be able to reflect on. So that is more the vibe. And I mean, that was an experience that I wrote about, but that's more of my summer journaling is
Mhm.
more documenting those things.
Yeah.
Several years ago, Brandon and I went to Yellowstone, and holy cow, the energy that we felt there. I mean, it was so funny because he doesn't really speak energy. This is my
Mhm.
language, not necessarily his. He speaks it more than he understands, but we don't talk about it a ton. But we got
Mhm.
back from this one spot, and I was like, "Did you notice some energy up there that was?" And he's like, "Holy crap, yes." We both felt the energy in the a couple of locations so strongly that we were like, "GTFO, like get out
Yeah.
of here." And we were really uncomfortable. We didn't like it. It was not negative. It was just a
Yeah.
intense
Wow.
energy to the point where neither of us talked about it in the moment. But when
Mhm.
we got back to our camper that night, we were like, ugh, get it off, and it was really interesting because we both, when we talked about it, we felt it in the same place. So those are the kind of cool experiences that summer brings that I want to
Uh,
journal about, that I want to reflect on.
right.
And I feel like summer too, along this line, is a time when stories are being created,
Mhm.
where we
Yeah.
remember that one time when,
Yep.
going back over your life. And I mean, so many things, we have so many experiences in the summer.
Mhm.
And that's what the vibe of summer is. So, what experiences can you create next summer to be totally swimming in that energy?
Right. Yep. And what if it's a camping trip, or what if it's like you said, going to Yellowstone, or just different little trips, and I feel like people tend to do more of that in the summer. They don't kind of move as much with the season in, winter and fall as they do in the spring and summer. So,
Mhm.
but
And
bringing
looking,
on those experiences is
mhm,
best, I think.
bringing and I think seizing the opportunity. So summer
Mhm.
has a very spontaneous energy for me as well. Some planned, of course, but also it's the energy of yes. Like,
Mhm.
yes, I want to do that, and I want to do it yesterday. So let's do it today.
Right.
Um, and and that connection, because it's so much easier to travel to, in the summer, but also when my boys were little, we used to take walks, and we'd
Mhm.
walk the dog together in at nights in the summer because it was cool, and it was still light outside, and we could just all go for a walk. And the connection and the conversation, it was happy chatter. And even my older two that are oil and water would get along when we would go for walks in the summer. So
Oh, well.
there's a vibe um,
Mhm.
of that in the summer too. So I think that could be another good way to really connect with that energy, is allowing spontaneity.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that.
Mhm.
I agree. I don't
Anything else with summer? I feel like that
Yeah.
one's kind of the shortest one.
Yeah.
What is it? What else is
So,
there?
I
Fun.
feel
Just
like yeah, just fun, and
play.
they play. It's a time to bring in that playful energy and just, allow yourself to enjoy, have fun.
Mhm. We did an episode previously on how to basically take life less seriously.
Yeah.
That would be the vibe of summer, like making
Yep.
sure you're bringing in, um, where can I let go of the heavy and bring in the light, and
Mhm.
be silly, be playful. Um, Take your drum out in the wilderness and drum, and just, in a way, it's like wild abandon. I don't really do that much, but that
Yeah.
vibe of any, just do, just be, just
Yeah.
go. Um, and I see clients who uh are stuck in the energy of winter during summer.
Mhm.
So, thinking of culture, we're still 9 to 5, go, 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 hustle, hustle, hustle. And we do a lot of travel with our kids, a lot of sports things with our kids all summer as well. And it keeps us in that go do. vibe, which is a vibe of summer, but I feel like it's less structured is the
Mhm,
energy. Do you feel that way
mhm.
too?
Yeah, yeah. I feel like it's more of a opening opening or a I can't think of the word, but it's like a it's not structured. It's like a
Yeah. Yeah. I'm with you. I like it.
I can't think of I can't
But
think of how to explain it, but yeah, it is more it's less because we do. I I know when I was in the 9 to 5, um summertime was probably one of our busiest times. And so we're, you know, working till 7, 8. I'm half the time I'm on call 24/7,
mm,
because they're needing things done because they're, in meetings or they're going here, they're going there or whatever, traveling. And that's a busy time for people um in the 9 to 5 for sure. But it's and then if you have family and you have kids who are in all of the sports things and doing all the things, then you're um run, and it's the summer is a time to play and a time to it's kind of a time to slow down too, because you're I mean, we want to be going, but it's also like summer feels like it can be a slow down time, like a time to just to be in nature or to be involved with um, connecting with nature or drumming in nature, or it's not a time of buzz, all over the place doing all these structured things. It's a time of being and feeling and connecting with each other, connecting with nature,
mhm.
connecting with, all the things. But
I almost
it's,
have a feel of like checking out, not checking in.
mhm,
So it's like, where can I check out?
mhm,
Like, not in a hermit mode, but in nature or in
mhm,
like let's take the vacation because we can leave the cell phones off.
mhm,
So it's like checking out from the day to day, the work world. It's I'm going to show up to work, I'm going to do those things so that I can play. And
mhm,
then when I play, I'm checking out. Like it's
mhm.
for me that's a little bit of the vibe with the summer. It's
Yeah,
I'm at the beach. I'm not taking my phone by the water
right.
or I'm going camping where there is no cell service.
That's, yep.
I mean it's so I have a little feel of that with summer as well,
Mhm,
where it's even though we might be doing more, it's like what you're saying, it's being
mhm,
more, it's being present more, it's less involved in, it's like the one time a year where it's okay to not answer your phone because you're
yep.
like, I
I'm
was
on,
out of
I'm
cell
on
service.
vacation. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's part of what people really look forward to as well. And so that can be a lesson to us to be like, where can I set more boundaries around my phone? Why does it only have to be summer? I mean, it doesn't, but that's a whole different topic. But
Yeah.
I feel like that's kind of like what you're saying. It's like being present more. It is going and playing, but it's being present in the play instead of caught up in the drama of work or whatever.
Mhm.
So it's the disconnect a little bit
Yeah.
in the summer is the vibe I have too.
Hmm. Yeah. Definitely.
I'm gonna have to like rewatch this every season so I can remember, okay, what am I doing in spring?
What
Okay,
is
got
this? Yeah.
it. So bookmark this one and make sure you revisit every season so you can get
Right.
good ideas. So, is there anything else that we need with summer?
I don't think so. I
Yeah,
Yeah.
I feel like we've got a really good group of ideas and tips and tricks and things to do for all 4 seasons of the year and just really coming at this from a way of curiosity, not
Mhm,
and I think that's important. Don't attack all of these as one more thing to do, and this is how I have to be, but what would it be like if I honored the cycles of the seasons? And
Right.
what if I just start with fall because we officially have fall starting a few days before this video will come out. We have autumn equinox. So, how can I just start with fall? And what are some of the vibes of fall that I can bring in? And how does that make my body feel? How does that make my emotions feel? How does that feel to me to really honor the cycle of that season and then slowly move into the winter
Mhm.
and like
Mhm.
just use this as an experiment. What if? And see what
Mhm.
that does for you.
Yeah, I agree. And that's, I know, because for me, it's only been maybe 3 years. I don't know how long it's been. It's been a few years that I really started to look at that, and especially with winter. And I'm like, this is not the time that I can be push, push, push. I tried and tried, and I finally I'm like, okay, I surrender. I'm gonna go with this season, and it feels to me, it just felt so much um more doable, and so much it was almost relief
Mhm,
to allow myself to just be in that season, whatever it is, and um, still do my thing and still do what I need to get done. But, and I mean, I'm not saying just completely shut everything down because we can't. We live in this society where we can't, but it is taking it at a slower pace, and it is, you know, taking better care of yourself, and doing the things more intentionally, and so, and then as I move into spring, it's always like, oh, spring.
That's how I feel right now. This is my season. As
Yeah,
we
fall.
start
Yeah, this season is,
yeah.
and I love fall. Fall is one of my favorites too, but spring is just like, oh,
Mhm,
and it's probably because I live in the mountains where we don't see spring until June.
mhm.
So,
I would love to know. So for those who are watching, comment below in the video and tell or below the video and tell us what your favorite season is and why, because I would love to know that.
yeah,
I love them all for their different
yeah.
I love them all for their differences.
Mhm.
Autumn is definitely my favorite. Summer is fun for play. So summer and autumn are my two.
Mhm.
Um, but autumn is where I just feel it.
Yeah.
Like I'm just so excited. So
Yeah,
yeah.
spring and summer are mine. I love autumn, and I've learned to love it more and more. But spring and summer are just like, that's where I feel I'm more alive then. It's like, I'm doing the things and I love it, and I feel I can do, because I'm a nature. I'm connecting with Mother Nature all the time. And so that's my time. So,
I love it. I love it. All right. I do want to remind those who are listening to check out our Wisdom Within Toolkit. There is a link below the video in the description where you can get a hold of that. And it's really helping you go deeper into some of these key topics that we've talked about over these several episodes. So there's a variety of information in there for you. So I'd love to have you check it out. And if you feel that this is helpful for you, as always, please like, subscribe, share, all the things. It's so helpful for us and helping us get this message out to others by, yeah, just having you share the love with us. Help us spread the word.
yes, definitely.
All right. Will you help us get back into our reality?
Yeah. Okay. Take a deep breath in, close your eyes, pull back all those energies that we've released or that we've sent out. And just pull everything back in. Feel yourself in your body. Feel the weight feel your weight in your chair. Remember that you have feet and fingers, and wiggle those, your legs. Okay, go ahead and open your eyes.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. And with that, we'll see you guys next time.